Loving myself in this body is a necessary act of survival. So I remedy the dead stem with honey. I watch it grow from the root.
Grow from the root. Grow from the root. Grow from the root. You.
Like drawing bio from the blood, drawing water from the clouds. The revolution begins with the breath in my lungs. The revolution begins when I choose joy, and I am love itself.
See my visions got blessings on me. See my visions got blessings on me. See that pen stand. Spaceship flew to Mars, called it Afro-future universe. Got a spaceship flew to Mars, call it an Afro-future universe. Spaceship flew to Mars, an Afro-future universe. Got a spaceship flew to Mars, call it an Afro-future universe. Got a spaceship flew to Mars, call it an Afro-future universe. Caught a spaceship flew to Mars, call it an Afro-future universe. Caught a spaceship flew to Mars, call it an Afro-future universe. An Afro-future universe.
We're having some tech issues, so bear with me. I'm so glad to see all your wonderful faces. My name is Timiro Mohamed. Tonight, we're probably going to get in our feelings. We're going to be sharing a lot of poetry. You can see we're in a space that feels warm, that feels familiar. Hopefully this looks like your living room. We modeled the stage after the inside of my bedroom, which is where so many of my writing and thoughts and all of the visions that create this space happen. And so I'm inviting you into that space. So yeah. Come on this journey with me, and very, very excited for us to share with you all. Self-portrait of the artist as the drinking gourd. Imagine the artist pouring, broken clay seeping, spilling out into the world. The artists will themselves into another sky, and I see myself pour until there is only a memory and the art we remember to create. And is it the sky a story, a mirror, she that bore witness to the white sheet burial rites, a canvas, a dissertation on black life? I rename the artist after every constellation, cosmic mess navigating the masses into a new tomorrow. Perhaps we owe it to the sky herself to create. I knew sacrifice even before my English teacher handed the word to me, slow and writhing on the white of the page. And I knew then that it was a body, something alive and breathing, something black and submerged in whiteness. My tongue became a continent. For what is a continent if not a flattened hunk of flesh, dying faster than the oceans can learn to bend space and time? My tongue emptied herself onto the shores of a memory. My tongue is a mother. For what is a mother if not a teacher, if not originator? I teach my tongue how to come and go between worlds. And then, like the magician, I conjure her, demand her presence, pose with you. The practice of alternating between two or more languages in conversation, the practice of the witch, the practice of the alchemist, the practice of swallowing the self whole in the span of a moment. I mother my jaw into a new skin, and we move in eloquent choreography, role reversal etched into our skin.
Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color.
Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Dripping in gold and adorned in home, the sound of the guitar fills my ears. I let my whole body move as if in reverse. As if time and space are only a figment of my imagination, as if my body in all her forms exists only here and now. My mother told me stories of Mogadishu in the 70s, how a sunset over the equator could ruin you, lazy Friday afternoons and gelato jumbo on the seashore, how the sky and the sea went on forever in endless symphony. The stars gaze out from the empty of night sky, and in every way the city is alive. Hotel Aruba serenades the ocean and the drummer loses himself in song, me and mine, no color. Bursting at the seams with noise and people going nowhere anytime soon. My grandfather's bookshop crumbling under the weight of bombs. Still storyteller, still alive in these lines. Nostalgia is the siren song whispering lullabies of a place we once called home. Every night we watch the news, hear about casualties or don't, frantically call relatives and pray on their bodies. Our home splinters into a funeral procession of visitors. We drink tea like ritual, try to wash the blood from our hands. Nostalgia is the seashore stretching endlessly, the parts of us suspended in time, the swaying of hips like the winding of clock. I wonder how we wear the war, and what parts of us remain suspended in that place.
Yours, me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color. Me and mine and you and yours. Me and mine, no color.
Water holds memory. So I grasp at prayers. I seek landlocked wells, non-transient bodies of water. and I make ways in oceans haunted by stories and black people. Heartbreak opens onto the sunrise, for even breaking is opening, and I am broken. A broken catastrophe, willing myself back whole again. Broken and breaking, watching officers break the skulls of black women. I watch her spill across the hallway, a cacophony of blood and bone. Watch her unravel across the cement floor and prey on her logs. Mr. Officer, breaking skulls and pouring open into communities, do you see us? Before we are blood and bone, before we are opened onto the sunrise, willing the light to pour in and pull us back whole again. I am broken and breaking, for even breaking is opening, an alchemy of love willing us all back whole again. Do black women forgive Kanye West? Do we ever stop forgiving? Ever stop being the matchstick and the funeral pyre? All the black women I know are haunting the empty husk of something, and I am haunting a body tired in all the ways a body knows. You mistake me for body of water. Think you love me anyway? Suckle the whistle to warm yourself. Consume my flesh to quench your thirst. All while I drown in the radio static as you play that new Kanye over and over and over.
And it all falls down. Telling you all falls down. And it all falls down. Telling you all falls down. And it all falls down.
The kitchen. Perhaps our fingers speak the language of an unending love each time they dip into the mess of a honey plate. On this particular morning, the sun writes herself on the back of one weathered kitchen counter. In the crevices of lino flooring, familiar with the beat of the souls moving to the music of the unwritten recipe. When my mother lets me into her kitchen, I am cautious, careful not to burn anything, as I let myself remember the movement of a yaya's hands.
Bismillah. Bisinka ya sihinka yuhu ayada birta. Hadi anko billah wa baruhu wa hijabantai. got family tree. I know my mama bring on me. We got roots. Got family tree. I know my mama bring on me. We got roots.
I renamed this language for the orchestra's second string. Name it for all the ones that come after and still play in unison, still feel everything. I give thanks for the hands speaking an invisible language, directing entire orchestras with every sentence. Nowadays I only speak my mother tongue in watered down poems, or in line at the store with too many white folks, or when kneeling in prayer in the Arabic of my holy book can't hold my deepest fears the way a mother does. Nights when I'm left searching for all the words that can't seem to fill the war in my mouth, I ask myself, which language knows the words that are hurting, is familiar with the inside of a ribcage, can recognize the borders and pick out the flagpoles, which language knows this body was once a country, is now spilling at the seams with stories, has split itself and has been broken.
I know we got roots, got family tree. I know my mama pray on me. We got roots.
I come from heavy accents, ones that carry the weight of many languages. I come from English that has never been broken, from rhythm and beauty in the pauses.
Got family tree.
So I fill the spaces and syllables with stories reminding me that home is with me still. In the way I move, the way I talk with my hands, directing entire orchestras with every sentence, reminding me that I'm too much body, too much sway with the music, too much love, too much loud to go anywhere, anytime soon.
I know we got roots, got family trees. I know my mama pray on me. We got roots.
Birthed from brightly colored garments and words you can take a bite out of. Words that command attention and demand to be heard. I come from hospitality and crowded living rooms. So stay, drink tea, swimming with Arwa, and will likely speak in second string metaphors that come and go like ghosts. And I'll tell you about a place that split itself, a generation of hybrids, and the way my parents' English wages a small war each time they speak. How an immigrant speaking a stolen tongue taught me to love with all my being, to be full leaf and blooming flower, be the velvet that holds the moon. I'll tell you what my parents' English taught me about the skies, about the way it breaks itself with every rainfall, in hopes something good will come after. Children born of close-quartered living. The poem begins with an excerpt from the New York Times article, The Durag Explained by Sandra E. Garcia. Solange Knowles ascended the Metropolitan Museum of Art wearing a gold halo over a black durag. Miss Knowles wore the durag with the cape out. It dripped down her back, and at the hem in gold Gothic type were the words, "My God wears a durag." The sentiment that our black is holy. Take the poem to be the wet of a dark wave retreating. Take it to be the moon beckoning, fickle sunlight, the slick wet of Ampro on the edges of a comb. Take the poem to be the edges of his scalp. Take it to be the black of his hair reverting into a story. Some nights you're six going home as the corners of a long night begin to fold in on themselves. Nights when you huddled in the close quarters of a belly laugh and learned to play dead on your aunt's living room floor. Nights when you melted into the black and tar of a bottomless highway. When you learned to love like the other side of the pillow, like the mango clings to the pit. Have you ever tried to tear the flesh of the mango from the pit, except that the pit would keep some for herself? And the metaphor writes itself. You were 8 years old when you learned that even our bodies do not belong to us, that our loved ones could disappear in the span of a moment, and like the pit, we will always be left clinging to the remnants. Once, you found comfort in the in-between. Long before you ever learned to play hide and seek, learn to phase in and out of blackness, the product of things being taken from us too soon, to the inheritors of the in-between. Children born of close-quartered living, to the daughters of greasy scalp and hair wrapped before bed in hopes you may preserve the magic of the comb. I write to you in defense of every childhood we left behind. For every black boy that couldn't perfect a disappearing act in time to save himself, in defense of the sacred, in defense of black baby joy. Take the poem to be the wet of a dark wave retreating. Take it to be the moon beckoning fickle sunlight. Take the poem to be the image of the do-rag slipping back, the slick wet of ampro on the edges of a comb. Take it to be the black of his hair reverting into a story. Dear Marsha, for the children of Stonewall, the ones birthed from revolution and a tube of red lipstick, the ones made in the image of Marsha and of her paisley pressed flowers spilling onto the dark of her dress, I can see it now. She is 1969, fresh and endless, glides into a room full of laughter and everything stops. Drops her napkin, and they wonder how gravity could betray her. She moves with ease as if to say, who else do you know that could bring a country to its knees and strut? This is an ode to the unfiltered existence. In honor of Marsha, pay it no mind Johnson. And for every foremother, ancestor, former self. And because she marched not only for herself, but for every generation to come. We the people declare today a celebration. We the people shed the names of our former selves. We the people are prideful and pay them no mind. So if we are to love, let it be endless. Let it hold space for all the ones who walked the earth before us. For Marsha, and for our former selves, the ways we existed in limbo, the ways we have always known, that beyond this body, caught in the waning moonlight of before, we have always been the outliers. So today I remember my family wherever they may be, which is to say I honor my people everywhere who learn to grieve from behind crowded computer screens. I honor the gully queens, the loud and black and unfiltered. Even the ones that lay in a bed of concrete, looking up into the sky, holding a staring contest with God, waiting to enter the afterlife today. I hold space for every being whose very existence is a form of revolution. But we learn to let go, learn to exist solely in the galaxies we create in the moments when love is ever present. When we sit in an easy back and forth quiet and get drunk off the sweet sounds of laughter reverberating in the hollows of our rib cages. Take this love to be the dawn. Take it to be the darkened sky splitting with the light of every star beginning fickle sunlight. Today, we will make ourselves in the image of those before us and begin again. Getting a little parched. How are you guys feeling so far?
Yeah.
Good vibes. Good, good, good. I do it for the skillful, that be the kinfolk. I said I do it up. And when the sun stops, we ride out. And when the skin black, you know the love good. I said I do it for the skin folk. I said skin folk. I said skin folk. You know I do it up.
And when the sun stops, we ride out. And when the skin black, we love good.
Imagine me leaning out the side of an old school car, its bones held together by rust and prayer. Picture my head a levitating afro of a cloud interrupting the sky. In this version of the story, skinfolk is kinfolk and everything is joy.
And when the sun stops, we ride out. And when the skin black, we love good. And when the sun stops, we ride out. And when the skin black, we love good.
The closing scene begins and we see them silk slick tracksuit saunter out onto the runway. The screen fades to black, and in this alternate ending to Queen and Slim, we see the words, "The revolution will not be televised," appear. We file quietly out into the pews, and when the sun decides to rise again, we ride. The streets flood with snakeskin boots and old school cars held together by rust and prayer. In this version of the story, we give ourselves permission to imagine a future free of a blood-stained pavement. In this version of the story, we watch a storybook tomorrow metamorphosized before us. In this version of the story, we lay to rest the tired echo chamber of a black pain movie dying a slow death. Addendum: our art can never exist in the shadows of whiteness. You know I do it for the skin folk, that be the kin folk. I said skin folk. I said skin folk. I said skin folk. You know I do it up.
And when the sun stops, we ride out. And when the skin black, we love good.
And when the sun stops, we ride out. And when the skin black, we love good. An ode to my Afro Puffs, written for my Afro Puffs by Jamila Woods. I am the witch who made spellbook in the walls of a bathroom lined with jars of coconut oil, who built spaceship beneath covers alit with stars, the lady of braid still kicking up dust and holy in her anger. And my Afro Puffs be universe, be Milky Way hair elastic, bending its back around constellations over and over and over. Unending reversal, infinite in all their glory. You know I caught it, shift flew to Mars, cut it out from future universe. Gravity. I am familiar with gravity, with the way things fall or resist the urge to fall. I will rename this body after the sun herself. Name it for all the heavy, radiant beings familiar with gravity, with the way things fall or resist the urge to fall. For those of us who know all too well what it is to stand in the bathroom mirror long enough to slip outside yourself like witch, she who exists beyond death at the back of a kitchen cupboard, beyond losing yourself at the bottom of a freezer. I am the daughter of broad shoulders, women who wear burden on their bodies, women heavy with the swell of magic. My heavy is swollen with and swimming in magic. Figures, I'm always spilling out of something, a room, my own body, as if I am pouring myself like offering. I know what it is to make my body bend itself at beck and call, know how to make it turn itself inside out. In the 7th grade, I read in a magazine that if you suck your cheeks in, you could make them look thinner. So for weeks, I walked around the halls with my mouth caving in on itself. Wrote this, still, for the sway and the swim and movements, for the woman I have always been. For those of us who were late again, who stood in the bathroom mirror long enough to step outside ourselves and chose instead to make time stand still, turn back every clock, and let the water drip back up our cheeks. Today, I am familiar with gravity, with the way things fall or resist the urge to fall. And today, like every day, I know what it means to catch myself. Ritual. I work the pad of index finger from corner to corner, make my way across a continent. This is how I coax my scalp into sisterhood. No one tells you about the back-breaking work of becoming, of birthing yourself. This is a thankless ritual, the labor of undoing, how I rake up the rungs of a braid, baptize myself in shea butter. I begin and undo until the strand itself becomes an echo. Knuckle to knuckle, the unraveling spins into a new tomorrow, and I will myself into growth. New growth. I have always known to let the broken comb sing her praises, so I can begin again as if in ritual. I've learned to beat my hair into submission for the interview, the classroom, for all the times I need to code switch my way into the white of a stranger's room. I know Hoya's favorite love language is a labor of twist and braid, the rhythm of the unsung strand, how a spiral learns to keep time with its own reversal. Repetition is the first way my hair taught me love. For what is love if not a willingness to begin again, a willingness to return? Repetition is the first way my hair taught me patience. The first to take my hands in quiet submission and ask them to slow, if even for a moment, so I may lose myself in the febrous loud. 30 minutes into the braid out and again in the takedown, the revival when it becomes time to begin again. So take this poem as love letter, in honor of the quiet black girl swag, the Ariana Brown loud, the two-step tribe, a lesson from the object of Aretha's affection, from the rose as in still a flower, a lesson for the careful bend and bow, the willingness of ancient being to twist and rock and move to the music of the unwavering wind. Lose leaves in it and let it be a lesson that even the stubborn strand knows how to move with its own careless grace. A lesson for weary hands that still find a soft submission in the strength of a careful coil. Your hair exists in defense of the water herself, has learned to begin again, an endless dance, rooted in the knowledge that when threatened with drowning, even the trees have learned to grow.